everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Pony 411 podcast. I'm 4String, and we're back here for another wonderful installment of ponies, and hey, more ponies. With me, as always, that is what we talk about. With me, as always, is Nemesis.
Yo!
Hi. And LordFunkyFist.
Hello, hello.
And returning to us after a week sabbatical is Artfan.
Hello, good people. What's up?
And yet again, FusionFox has decided that he's too good for us, and he's not
speaking this time. He's just sitting here silently.
I feel as though like we're gonna hype Fusion up so much, and then when he actually comes on the podcast, it's gonna be like so anticlimactic for the listeners.
It's going to be like a normal Skype chat where he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Basically. No, he's still having internet issues, but I think they're finally coming out and getting it hooked up on like the 21st or something, so maybe we'll have him then.
Maybe.
So, yes. Anyway, thank you for listening, all you listeners out there, to the new episode. And we're just going to delve right in. We got some really cool stuff happening today.
We sure do.
We got a couple things to talk about, a couple quick news stories to go over. We also have our first ever interview on the show. It's going to be with Soldat Pony of music fame in the brony community. We're going to have a talk with him for a little bit. It was a really cool talk that we had. And
famous.
You.
Yes, I mean me. I apologize. Sorry. Anyway, and what else are we going to do? We're going to talk about some fan content, as we tend to every week. If you're just listening to us for the first time, you should go back and check out those other episodes. You can find them on YouTube or on iTunes or on Libsyn. Chances are you're listening from one of those clients right now.
If not, then what the hell?
And if not, then who are you?
Are you a wizard?
You're in the room with us right now, and it's scary.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, if you figured out how to listen to us otherwise, 10 points to Gryffindor.
And then minus those 10 points because no one likes to show off.
Oh God.
Womp womp.
Oh, this is going quite well already.
So let's get into this with our quick hits news stories of the week.
Quick hits.
Again, we've got a couple here. First of all, and again, or not again, I'm saying this the first time, I guess, but spoilers are possibly incoming, so if you're not one that likes to hear anything about the new season before it happens or anything else, I'd skip ahead a little bit, just saying. Anywho, further details of the Adventures in the Crystal Empire DVD have been released. The DVD, which you'll see a December 4th release date, will include 5 total episodes from the show, including Season 2 episodes and fan favorites Luna Eclipsed, Sonic Rainbow, and It's About Time, as well as Parts 1 and 2 of the Crystal Empire, which will be the season premiere of the show.
We're presuming, anyway.
Or of the season, of Season 3. As per a press release from DVD maker Shout Factory, and again, this is going to be a synopsis, so if you don't want to hear, I'd fast forward about 30 seconds or so. Anyway, in Adventures of the Crystal Empire, a magical empire has suddenly appeared in the Arctic north of Equestria, and Princess Celestia needs Twilight Sparkle and her friends to find a way to protect it. While her friends try to keep the crystal ponies occupied at the Crystal Fair, Twilight Sparkle researches for the hidden crystal heart that is the key to keeping their empire safe from harm.
You think the crystal heart is right next to the crystal skull?
She runs into Twilight Sparkle runs into Indiana Jones on.
This is gonna be a daring do thing again. I just know it.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, moving on. Have you ever sat down and just wondered, what if Twilight Sparkle, my favorite purple pony in all of Equestria, could snowboard?
Every single day.
More. We'll wonder no more. In the new game, Twilight's Epic Hill Ride, players take control of everyone's favorite purple pony as she races downhill, avoiding a variety of obstacles along the way. To play, check out the DeviantArt page of Futzy01 or check out the link in the video description.
Now, see, you said everyone's favorite pony, but I disagree because Rainbow Dash was nowhere in this game.
I said everyone's favorite purple pony.
Oh, that's true. You did. You said purple.
I did. Anywho,
It's a pretty good game.
Moving on, there's another addition to the already jam-packed BronyCon documentary, a song. An original tune by Bronies is being penned by Mike the Microphone, Amy Keating-Rogers, and recently announced documentary music composer David O. Upon its completion, the song will be animated by a team of artists and will be sung by none other than John Delancey. The documentary has also announced Emmy-winning editor Jay Miracle as joining the production of the film. For more information, check out the Kickstarter page for the BronyCon documentary. Also, One Direction's Niall Horan, singing superstar, teenage heartthrob, and Brony.
Dun dun dun.
Oh no!
Why?
Well, in an interview conducted on the boy band's Twitcam at the MTV VMAs, Neil revealed that he happens to love My Little Pony. Of course, this is while the band handled Hasbro dolls themselves, but the idea of one of the One Direction guys being a fan of the show is, at the very least, unexpected.
A quick question, who the hell is that?
One Direction. Funky, I pegged you to be the biggest One Direction fan. I'm disappointed. One Direction, for those of our listeners who don't know, and co-hosts for that matter, is a boy band from Great Britain, because boy bands have decided to make a comeback.
For some reason.
It's a cycle of music. It goes. And they're pretty much the biggest of the big right now. They're pretty much the Backstreet Boys of the group, I'd say. And
I got One Direction for them. Straight back to England.
Now that I do kind of remember them, because I remember watching a Today Show episode a long time back, and they featured them. But yeah, I guess it rings a bell now. So
I just know a lot of people hate them.
Yeah, well,
I survived finding out Zac Efron owns a DeLorean. I can survive this.
That's fair. All right, and we have some convention news coming up here. First of all, Equestria LA has added 2 more guests of honor to its ever-expanding roster of talent at the November convention. This is 2 riders on the show, Amy Keating-Rogers and Cindy Morrow. They'll join attendees at the convention, which is announced also that it will expand from just a single day to 2, November 3rd and 4th. And then, speaking of conventions, a brand new convention will open its doors in Hamburg, Germany, in about a month from now. LunaFest, which will be held October 12th at the Rock and Roll Warehouse in Hamburg, will include episodes, music, and many, many ponies. Registration for the event costs €15, and con organizers say they have room for about 150 attendees.
I think also hold Oktoberfest at the same time.
Yeah, so it's a small con. So if you're one of our European listeners and you're into something that's going to be pretty small, well, check it out. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, they already have about half of that number already confirmed as going. So
if you're in Europe,
definitely check that out pretty quickly. Yeah.
It's 7 months.
And finally, in more convention news, Midwestria, which is happening this weekend, will bring along riders Amy Keating-Rogers, Charlotte Fullerton, and M.A. Larson to the September con. Musicians Taps, Chain Algorithm, Blue Nose Reindeer, Cyril the Wolf, and Seventh Element will also be in attendance. The con has also announced a 5K Running of the Leaves with money raised supporting the Friends for Therapeutic Equine Activities charity.
Seventh Element? I didn't know they made a sequel to the Fifth Element. That must have gone under the radar.
They just skipped all the way to the 7th. Just as an aside, I would totally do that Running of the Leaves if I was going to be there. I wish Candlelight Gardens was doing something like that. I would be all over it. Anyway, you like ponies?
No.
How about playing the card game Apples to Apples? If you check out Scribble Quill's DeviantArt page, you can find printable cards for the game modeled after some of the ponies and phrases in the show. And then just recently, internet publication The Daily Dot, well, as many of us know, they're no stranger to Brony-themed stories and features, and at last weekend's Brony Fanfare in Texas, the website took an even closer look at Bronies by having one of its writers, Chase Hoffberger, attend the convention and report back with his findings. To check out the thankfully neutral article, check out the Daily Dot's website or the link in the podcast description.
Quick question. The guy that they sent, was he in any way familiar with the show, or was he just like
From what I understand, no. Well, from when I was reading it, he seemed very, very naive to the whole thing. He knew about it, and he knew that the Daily Dot had written about it quite a bit, but he didn't really know much because at one point he's being basically explained about the whole thing by a brony that he's talking to there. So, yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. And to cap off our quick hits for the week, we have plushies.
Oh,
more plushies, in fact.
Plushies!
The line of plushies by Funrise is expanding to include Applejack and Fluttershy. No big deal. Wait! Is that Vinyl Scratch? It is!
All the way in the back of the picture, you can barely kind of see it, yeah. It's her.
And
Vinyl Scratch, cause
what else?
Sunglasses.
Miniature and gigantic plushies as well. And is that Twilight with wings?
Yeah, that threw me off. I
Nemesis,
saw the picture.
Is that Twilight with wings?
It is. Yeah. Multiple versions of Twilight with wings.
So,
which makes
this
me
is
wonder,
all
is this
very,
a
very interesting. Yes.
Or is it hinting at something big happening in season 3?
Or at least an episode where they all get wings.
You be quiet.
Because they drink a lot of Red Bull. I don't know.
I was just about to make a Red Bull joke. You.
Just a little quicker.
Maybe it'll follow an episode where Pinkie Pie accidentally creates some meth, and they all start hallucinating, and this is like one of Twilight's hallucinations where she has wings.
LSD.
I don't think you're gonna see that on the hub, but you never know.
You'll see it in my fanfic.
Something that looks kind of like those like floor chairs, the little backrests for like it kind of like pony themed though. Whereas like in the background of part of the picture on the Equestria Daily, so I don't know if you've ever seen those. Yeah, those little just plush chairs that you just kind of sit on the floor with.
Right. Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah.
So,
honestly though, it's weird. There's no rarity.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting. I don't know why they've waited so. I figured that'd be one of the first ones, but I don't know. Maybe.
I guess trying to get one of her would be a rarity indeed, wouldn't it?
Go away, Art.
So that's enough for quick hits for the week.
There should have been silence after that.
That's quick hits, sponsored by Red Bull and Tori Spelling.
No.
All right, so moving on, we've got a new box set release for Season 1. It's finally getting a release in the US on December 4th.
Finally!
About time.
It's also surprisingly cheap at $25.
Which most box sets
it's also
like
going to
have
commentaries
like
on it. Yeah, right. It's also going to have commentaries on it. The question is, guys, will you buy it for $25?
I already pre-ordered it.
Well, we already know for Nemesis.
What
do you think's
for me? Even if I don't keep it, like they wind up releasing a Blu-ray version, I can give it to my mom because she'd love to have it. Because she loves the show too. So why not?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something good to have if you're, if you just want to watch it on your TV or something, and you don't either have all of them recorded, or you kind of get tired of watching them online, which I tend to sometimes.
Especially with all
sometimes
those watermarks.
Kind of refreshing. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's pretty refreshing just to sit down in front of the TV and actually watch it, as opposed to waiting for it to buffer online or something. So
I watched them on TV.
Yeah, and the commentaries are definitely intriguing too.
Yeah,
I'm really, really excited to hear those.
I wonder if
I just enjoy commentaries anyway.
I want to see what they actually talk about.
Yeah,
exactly. I think we should do a commentary on one of our episodes sometime.
Oh jeez.
A commentary on audio.
Do you think people would buy that?
Oh jeez.
A commentary on a podcast. That seems very meta of us.
We should do it.
Did they say who was going to do the commentaries? Was it going to be like the showcast or all of them?
I think it was going to be actual creators of it. I don't think it was actually going to be voice actors.
It just says
actresses.
Cast and crew. So
it could include the voice actresses, I guess.
Yeah, cast implies voice actors.
Yeah. I think I almost thought I remember seeing on Twitter Shot Factory saying something about it being like actually confirming who it was, but I may have just made that up. I make things up a lot.
Yeah, you do.
Half of those quick half of those quick hits just now were made up. Can you guess which ones? Tell us in the comments.
One thing I do want to say that I thought was kind of funny was I know I've seen these things pop up about like box sets and stuff, but like I always kind of noticed that the art is usually a little not bad, but a little wonky. And this one looked really good. But then I didn't notice until someone pointed it out that Spike, in proportion to everyone else, was like really small. And but it was funny. Like, it was accompanied with like a screenshot that was that they altered Spike with the proportion of the box, the art on the box front, and it was just like him, just like, like no taller than like everyone's legs in the show. And it just looked funny. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, now I see it. That's
I'm starting to think this box art is just placeholder, because I'm seeing, let's see, like most of them are just that standard stock art. That's like plastered on everything, but like Twilight and Rarity are like vectors from the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, poses I think I said on the show, so.
Yeah, like, it doesn't come out until December, so yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, if it's just like a placeholder for now. But yeah, I don't know. Like, by now, like, they know, I guess, how big, the show is. So it's not like just one of the cases where like, oh well, let's just slap something together real quick and just throw it out there and they'll eat it, whatever. But I guess now, like, they'll probably put more care into it. The show has gone big
because now you got like Toys R Us selling stuff that's specifically marked brony, not pony, just brony. So it's like, yeah, if Toys R Us is now specifically marketing to us, there's something going on.
Yeah.
It's almost like we keep having these giant conventions with like thousands of people.
I know. It's like we also buying weird stuff.
That's pretty cool. I wonder how long it'll be before we see Homestuck merchandise in Toys R Us.
You, be quiet.
Probably never.
Homestuck merchandise labeled brony.
I would see them in Hot Topic before I saw them in Toys R Us.
Probably. Another thing is, I'm willing to bet this is an experiment. See how well it sells.
Yeah. And I bet it'll sell well.
Yeah, because right now it's already number 3 on Amazon.
And then season 2. And then possibly might get a faster turnaround for season 3, even, if this sells well as well. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, like, in that case, I probably would get it. Because, for one, like, it would just be nice just to have it. And, especially for that price, $25 for, like, a box set. And especially it seems like it's going to come with, like, some nice stuff, like commentaries and such. And also, just to support it, because I have done stuff where I just bought something just to support it, like, so, like, to support whatever it is I'm buying. So yeah, like, I would definitely buy this just because it'd be nice to have. It's cheap, and well, like, if it helps, even though, like, I'm pretty sure tons of people are gonna buy it already. So yeah, I would definitely purchase it and help out with, I guess, turning out more quality pony merchandise.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if, them starting to release entire box sets of the whole season will mean we'll see a decrease in the DVDs, like the Adventures in the Crystal Empire DVD, where it's like just like kind of random episodes, Yeah. I kind of wonder if that means we won't see those anymore, because they'll just put it on the main set, and they're,
because on one hand I could see them doing that, but on the other hand, they probably know that these box sets are going to be going to the older fans like us.
That's
and
a very
other
good
DVDs
point,
are probably going to be more for the intended demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good point.
And plus, like, it could also be just a case like what Kevin was saying, where it's just whatchamacallit, they're just testing the waters. Like, maybe they started out with the one-shot DVDs that had like 4 episodes just to see how well those did, and maybe they're just gradually just going up. And I'm sure they're like what Nemesis was saying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll still be around just for like the kids to have. And I know there were some toys that came with the DVDs, so I'm pretty sure that those will still stick around.
Another thing was, I remember when the first like DVD was announced and wasn't a box set, and people were like, well, why isn't there not a box set? We want box sets, as we've been asking for. And they're like, well, the thing is, that's a huge financial risk for us right now, because we don't know how well it will sell. You guys say you'll buy it, but this happens a lot where people say they buy things and they sit on shelves forever and no one buys them. So for us, it'd be a huge risk, because we can't just print like 100 of them and then send them out. We have to print a whole like thousands and thousands of them. If they don't sell, that's lost money.
Yeah. I think they definitely gotten to the point where it will sell. I hope it does, because I'd love to see other seasons.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was found out that it was like, for a while, it was number 3 on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was, let's see, it beat out The Walking Dead Season 2. It beat out The Hunger Games for a bit. I mean,
I'm surprised by that.
It wasn't that long, but it didn't last that long, but it was just for like about 24 hours, so it was huge, and now it then dropped back down to like 19 or something, but still. For My Little Pony to do that, beating out the Hunger Games and The Walking Dead, which are both huge things right now.
You know, like, I think it would be really awesome if, like, maybe, like, if the show really was huge and popular, that maybe, like, it would be kind of cool if they just released, like, this Blu-ray box set, and, like, it comes in, like, in a box shaped like the book that we see in the opening, or, like, maybe, like, in a box kind of like...
I would buy that so fast.
The Elements of Harmony that Celestia kept it in. Thing.
They sell that for like $50, and so many people would still buy it. Probably
all my money, all of it.
Yeah, because like, I do like that when like shows or like series or like anthologies release stuff like that has like a nice little like gimmick thing to it. Like, I'm not a huge Hellraiser fan, but I like how like the collection comes like in a box shape like the puzzle cube. So it's like, yeah, like when they do stuff like that, it's pretty cool. Especially like the Avengers, like that one that comes like in the suitcase with the Avengers and like all the previous Marvel movies before leading up to it. It's like, yeah, that stuff's always really cool to see. So I don't know if they'd ever do that with ponies, but I guess you never know.
Well, this is an Amazon exclusive, so it's the only place you can find it is Amazon. You can't go to the store and find this box set.
Can't go out to Best Buy.
The nice thing about Amazon pre-ordering.
Exactly, yeah.
Is you don't have to put money down on it. You do not get charged money until it comes out. So if you decide not to get it for whatever reason, you can still cancel your pre-order. But I will personally come to your house and slap you in the face for that.
Well, moving on from that topic, also released this week was the documentary Music is Magic, which is billed as a documentary about Everfree Northwest and brony music. And really, what better place to do it than Everfree Northwest, which had a lot of pony musicians there.
Pony stock.
Pony stock, of course, So, obviously, this is probably one of the best places to do it because it was a large convention. Wasn't, tiny, but I mean, it was smaller than BronyCon. I think it'd been a lot tougher to do this at BronyCon. Anyway, it's about 30 minutes long, and it goes over a lot of, who was there and their performances and what they think of playing music for the bronies and what they think of, where it's going. And even got some interviews with people like Daniel Ingram and William Anderson about what they think. And it also had a couple little bits every once in a while about Everfree Northwest as well, including some stuff about, the opening and closing ceremony, some really cool footage from that. Anyway, and I think it was done pretty well for an amateur filmmaker, of course, and fairly quick turnaround. It's been about 3-4 weeks now, I guess, since Everfree Northwest. So, to start off, has anybody else here actually seen it?
Unfortunately, no. I didn't have time to actually watch it.
Okay,
it's just
that's fine.
Busy week.
Yeah, I understand. I will say that I kind of wish they had focused, done a little more with the Everfree Northwest angle, because a lot of it was mainly music, and if they were going to bill it as, kind of both, then maybe we'd like to see both. But, it's definitely its main focus is music, obviously with the title. And, that's totally understandable, and that's pretty cool. And, I don't know, I think it really gives a really cool look at brony music. Maybe not so much the beginnings of it. Like, it really didn't touch much on... It's not really a history of it. It's more of just in the moment, hey, here's the music. This is what happens. This is what it sounds like and looks like when they perform it live. And there was a really cool, I remember, scene in particular when the Beatle Bronies are playing, I believe it was, and Daniel Ingram, they're showing him kind of like watching from the side and like kind of smiling. And they were just in there like just playing, I guess, for footage or whatever. And right after they finish their song, the filmmaker comes up and is like, hey, did you guys know that Daniel Ingram was in here watching? You guys are like, no, really? It was a really cool moment. But anyway, I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinions, I guess, for our larger talk of the week, since we usually have one, about brony music and basically the state of it. And, did you guys see, first of all, to start off, did you guys ever really, when you got into this fandom, did you guys ever really see this coming where, obviously you have art and you have fanfics, and that's something that you see pretty much with any fandom. Is this something you really envision seeing, though, like an entire thriving music community?
No.
It personally surprises me that music in this fandom would become so huge. I mean, it's just not something, at least that I would expect to come out of a fandom such as this one, where it's such a specific music community too, and it's so big. It's like, yeah, you have fans that casually record like a tune or something, and it may not be the best mix or best sounding or best written, but in this fandom, you have like some stuff that's bordering on professionally, or even in some cases is professionally well mixed and put together and well written, and it's just like these are really dedicated people devoted to making this music, and it's kind of cool to see. It's very exciting, because like I said, I mean, I personally don't see this in most other fandoms, at least not in any of the fandoms I'm in. I can only think of maybe one other thing I can think of where the fandom is so like musically inclined, I should say. So
does Homestuck do that?
Yeah, actually they. Well, no. In all seriousness, they do. There's a decent. Shut up. There's a decent music community in there. A lot of the music you hear in the comic, and I'm sure even for the upcoming game or whatever, and even just unrelated to any of that, just in the fan universe in general, there's a lot of amateur music stuff going on out there, and a lot of it is just as well done and well put together. I would say it's probably on even terms with what's going on in the brony fandom, or the pony fandom, which is full of bronies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What I've heard.
Yeah.
Right.
For me in particular, I didn't really expect this because I guess I haven't really been part of a lot of fandoms. I mean, I think the first fandom I ever really got into was, internet-wise, was like the early Final Fantasy games, like the Super Nintendos and even like some of the early like PlayStation ones, and then after that, I can't really remember, but I was a part of that, and then, but I think like the two biggest ones afterwards were the Kim Possible fandom and the Avatar community, and those had their fair share of like fan fiction, really professional looking art and things like that, but none of it had the same thing as like, or I don't think there was any like music community in there, and if it was just mainly just like your typical kind of like remixes and things like that. But here, like, yeah, we have like the typical remixes, but we also have professional sounding music that is original but pony themed. And I know we touched upon this last like on a podcast where like there are people, someone could just easily just make up a tune and say, oh, this is pony themed, but but most of the time it's really well done to the point where like it does sound like it's pony themed, and you can tell that they had their heart in the right place and that they wanted to do something that was based on this show that they're a huge fan of. So yeah, like I didn't really see this coming. I mean, of course, everything else, yeah, I expected, because by this point I expect every fandom to have its fair share of good or weird or whatever fan art and fan fiction, things like that. So yeah, it's a really nice thing to get to see like all this stuff going on. And even though I'm not a huge fan of the music community, not because like I hate music, but like I'm just not a music kind of guy, but I can appreciate what a lot of these people are doing.
I joined this fandom right about the same time the music stuff started to get going. So I was actually kind of there I was watching, so I was actually able to see the music start up. Most fandoms, almost every single fandom part of, there's like almost nothing music like related, like made by fans. I mean, like in Halo, there's like one notable guy who made Halo songs and stuff, and maybe a couple others that here and there that's like, hey, look, this is a really cool song inspired by Halo or whatever. And it's like, okay, it's cool, but really there wasn't anything on this scale I've ever seen. It's just, at first it just started off as a couple remixes of like the theme song and Winter Wrap Up and what was the other one? Or like, Art of the Dress, stuff like that. That's what it started off as, and then it's kind of weird. And it was always, always electronic and techno and all that stuff, easy stuff that's, well, I don't want to sound like a jerk,
elitist,
but kind of easy to remix into, because it's just easy. And so you have this huge electronic thing, and then a bunch of remixes come out, and then a couple, and then like one of the first notable original songs for the new Lunar Republic. That was like one of the first really notable ones. I don't know if there's one before it or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that was the first one that really caught the attention of the fandom as a whole. And it's just it kind of shows that this whole music thing is just kind of taking a life of its own, and it's just kind of crazy just watching it explode, and you're just constant to the point where Equestria Daily now has to like subdivide everything. Okay, we got this music, we got this music, we got this music. There's like 3 or 4 music posts a day, whereas in other fandoms you like see something like once a month at best.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just insane just seeing this, and it's crazy also that so much of it is so good. I mean, sure, you got your share of just poorly done things, or it's just like, here's a dubstep remix right in the middle of verse or something. Okay, whatever. But then you got other stuff. It's like they actually did something different with it, or if they didn't do something different, they did something so really well polished, and you don't see that often. And it's just amazing that I was even considered like downloading this music, and because that never happened before to me.
Yeah, and then again, like you're talking about the whole rise of the thing. I mean, just last year alone, Everfree Radio was able to find, I think, like 4,000 different pieces of music.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that number is going to get even larger for 2012. Like,
Yes.
I'm really excited to see how many they end up finding this year, because I mean, it's just amazing about how much has come out, and how much comes out every day. It's just, yeah, like you said, I mean, like some slot fandoms, you're just used to maybe getting something every once in a while, if that. But with this, it's just like I can go on there, and this is what's tough for me sometimes with doing this podcast and trying to put together some songs that we can talk about.
It's overwhelming.
I feel bombarded sometimes because there's like, in one day there might be like 4 or 5 different posts on Equestria Daily, and each post might have 2 or 3 different songs in it, maybe more. It's just like, well, I gotta listen to this, I gotta listen to this. I mean, there's so much. I'm amazed that some people even know a lot of songs, first of all, and then can like know all the words and this and that, and can like point out like, yeah, it's this person, it's that person. And that just amazes me because there's so much. I mean, like I said, like 4,000 different tunes just last year alone, and it's crazy to me just how many has come out here, and how like the community has taken creativity within the community, I think, to a totally different level. I'm not saying that it's on a I shouldn't say that in the sense that like it's on a higher level than the other ones. It's just like it's different. It's definitely different. It's definitely something you wouldn't expect, and that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But so now do you guys think it's we can call it its own legitimate genre? Like, this is pony music,
I wouldn't
or
go.
this is trot step or something. You know?
I wouldn't quite go that far with it. I mean,
Yeah.
it is. It's rapidly developing into its own thing, which is very, very cool. But I think it's probably better suited to being like a fan genre, like where it doesn't really become so big to where it's its own thing. But
Well, you did get that one song that went on Rock Band.
that's very
Yeah.
true, and that's very telling of where this could probably go, and where it's probably going now. I mean, I couldn't see it becoming its own thing soon, but maybe in a few years down the road, especially with a song on Rock Band, maybe we'll see more stuff coming out for video games like Rock Band, or even Dance Dance Revolution or DJ Hero or something like that.
I mean,
Are those even
the way
still
I see it, if pirate metal can get its own genre, then like
Well,
Who knows? I
Pony
mean,
metal.
are you saying
At
a
this
band
point
like
in time-
Ailstorm? You're amazed that they got their own, that they're.
I'm just saying that like if something like as distinct as that can have its own genre.
Well, here's.
Oh,
Sorry. Go ahead.
that's what I'm saying though. Like, if pirate metal can exist, even though that's a very, very, very narrow
niche.
thing. Yeah, basically. I think pony music could again, I haven't figured out what we can call it yet, and I don't think you can necessarily have a catch-all term necessarily, because even though it's all pony music, there's obviously a lot of different genres. I mean, we got the electronic stuff, we got the rock stuff, we got some of the stuff that Les Soldat does that we were going to talk about later with the kind of folk, acoustic, kind of jazz stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Even in the documentary, I remember seeing people. They had interviews with guys who were playing violin or playing a saxophone. It was just like there's so many different things here that's kind of hard to, put them all into one big group, even though people do it,
Exactly.
and it can be done. It's just it's very interesting. Also, I think just how wide ranging it can be.
Yeah.
How wide ranging this music is. Like it's not. I mean, yeah. Let's say like a lot. Most of like the big songs are more electronic flavored. With the exception of a lot of times what like Manda Pony or Acoustic Brony does. Uh, but even though a lot of it's electronic, you know, again, we got some jazz in there every once in a while. We got some weird folk stuff that might be influenced by the Avett Brothers or something, that like no one really expects, but hey, there's a pony song for that.
Yeah.
So, but why do you guys think music rose as such a prominent medium in this fandom?
That is one thing I have never actually quite understood. I don't know if it was just we had this show just attracted people who were just musically inclined, or it was just because the original music was just so catchy, people just wanted to do something with it. I have a feeling that's kind of what it was. Part of it, what it was, is just it's so the music in the show is just sometimes just so catchy. I guess the people who are already musically inclined and watch the show are like, I want to do something with this. I'm going to do something right now and just try to make my own version of it. But otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just kind of strange. Like I said, you don't see this, so it's like it kind of took everyone off guard when it happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think definitely that's the same reason too, uh, because basically I think with a lot of these shows that are animated, because like I said, like I was a part of a lot of things like like animated shows, like like Kim Possible and Avatar, and those are animated shows. So yeah, it's pretty common sense that you're gonna see a lot of fan art, because you have these people who are fans of this animated show, so therefore you are gonna get those people who are gonna want to draw like that, as you see in the pony fandom, or do their own interpretations again, like in the brony community. But as Nemesis said, yeah, there's lots of really catchy music, and I know, like I said, like I'm not that big into music, but even I will admit that I really like a lot of these songs, and so I'm pretty sure there was a lot of fans who were music, like I'm pretty sure there were lots of people like who were music people who were fans of, like, let's say Avatar, but they never felt like doing something musically influenced by it, because even though it had a really good score, what all that took a backseat to the story and the characters and the plot, and that fed more to the people who did like the fan fiction and the art. While therefore in the ponies, like, with the show, you have good art and good humor, but you also have these really well done songs by Daniel Ingram. So therefore, I'm pretty sure a lot of these people who are musically inclined listen to this and it's like, wow, like this is really good, like and want to do like a remix, or there some of those artists take it a step further and do their own original songs based on the song or based on just the show in general. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what the community has such a huge musicians and music and everything behind it.
I think I think the rise of the brony music actually kind of owes it. It owes itself its success that is, and how large it is, to the rise of electronic music in the United States. And yeah, I know I'm centering this on the United States. I know this isn't the only country that has ponies. But what I'm really trying to say here is, like, just in the United States alone, back in about 2010, there was a growing amount of electronic music you heard on the airwaves, and it became kind of cooler, as opposed to in the past, where you might get a song every once in a while that might be kind of techno flavored, kind of that came over from Britain, or something that like DJ Sammy did or something like that. And it obviously it's been very big over in Europe for quite a while, and it suddenly comes over here, and then dubstep really starts coming out, the whole Skrillex and all that stuff. And I think that really was a big thing for the music, because I think around that time that Skrillex was starting to get big, really is also kind of around the time, and not just Skrillex, but other dubstep musicians and similar musicians, it's kind of around the time when we started seeing a lot more pony, electronic music started popping up. I think that's partially what happened, is that people were getting really interested in this type of music over in all across the world. And then, you hear, one of Daniel Ingram's songs from the show and be like, hey, I've been working on, like, doing some, like, techno stuff. I'm going to, like, remix this and do it like my own style. And just keeps going from there. And I think, and this is honestly just a theory, but I think that's really what started it. And then it just went from there, and then people found, like, hey, I can also write songs about it. I can also create my own thing,
Yeah.
And we have people like Manda Pony, who's a very talented songwriter, too, along with singer, who comes in and says, well, I can do this, too. And so then you got the other side of it. You got the electronic. You got that's mainly just remixes or whatever, and then you've got some of the songwriting, and it just keeps ballooning from there. And I think it's going to keep ballooning. I think it's going to get even bigger. I think we still haven't even seen some of the best musicians even show up yet.
Yeah.
I think we've got a really good crop right now. Like Alex S, Living Tombstone, Mando, etc., like the heavy hitters, we'll say. And we've got them, and that's really great, and that's really cool. And they've kind of become this larger-than-life personas almost, at like brony things. Like, it's like, oh my god, you've got Tara Strong, you have people who work on the show, then it's like, oh my god, it's that guy. He wrote this song that I can't stop listening to, and that's really cool. And I think that's definitely helped it as well, kind of making them bigger, because we think of them as bigger, and then the music just keeps getting bigger, and then it's just it goes from there,
It spirals out of control.
Yeah, if you want to call it out of control, I don't think it's necessarily out of control yet.
Well, I mean, I didn't mean literally.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely taken on a thing of its own. I mean, it's probably one of the most, well, I don't know. I can never decide if it or the art scene is larger, because they've got big heavy hitters in either,
Yeah.
format. So it's tough to say.
So let me ask you this. So with electronic music, so do you think Vinyl Scratch also helped with that? You have these electronic music fans, and then they see Vinyl Scratch playing some techno music, and then maybe that helps. I don't know.
I think it definitely gave people a pony to, like, I wouldn't say worship, but like, this is like the figurehead, I guess. Like, hey, we really dig electronic, we really dig this sort of thing. Vinyl Scratch is like our pony,
She's our favorite pony.
Whereas some of the more refined musicians be like, oh, it's Octavia, etc. But like, I think that definitely might have helped a little bit. At the very least, it gave some of the electronic musicians kind of like a figurehead, like, in the show,
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that was like its intent or anything, but it just again ballooned from there. And now we've got all those different cartoons of Vinyl Scratch and Octavia living together, and those are fun.
Yeah, and they're glorious.
I will say, I always enjoy those.
They're great.
But I'm curious to know, you guys have any favorite musicians in the brony community?
I actually kind of do. I didn't know that this is going to make me sound biased, but there's this one person I follow. There's two people I follow, but there's one that I really like, who he does like these pony theme musics, but he does them like chiptune style. So they kind of sound like something you'd hear from like of an 8-bit game, or like something out of like a video game. But like, yeah, like he's done the basic kind of like the remixes, but like some of them have like a more flair to them. But then he has like some that are like, it's like some of the other artists, some music artists in the in the community, where like he'll do like something based, like pony based, and he does it so well to the point where like, yeah, like I can definitely see this like something being used like in a kind of pony game with like a certain genre. So, but yeah, there's I forgot his name. His name is Kill69, the KIL69, something like that. But sadly, he doesn't upload as much anymore. But he has been uploading some stuff, but it hasn't been pony themed. But it's still really well done, and Another one that does the same kind of music, but sometimes it's more electronic, but has like a chiptune sound to it. Is Itero Bangpai. He's more well known, so I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but he does kind of the same genre too, with like chiptune, but like mixed with like sometimes mixed with like like electronic stuff or the so it's kind of mixed with that genre as well.
I wouldn't consider myself totally well versed in all the different artists. I mean, apparently I confused a couple. Like when I was at Everfree, I was like, "Who's that? Oh, it's that guy. Who's that again?"
Yeah.
But it's,
Well, I definitely think it's tough though when you haven't seen any like them in person.
yeah, and
It's
then you're
like,
like, "Who's
well,
that?" And sometimes y'all are like, "Oh, I recognize the musical style. I know it's because it's distinct." I'm like, "Oh, I know that song. I know what songs that is, but I don't remember the guy's name." That's the problem. That's always been my problem actually in general with music. I can recognize the distinct style, but I don't always remember who does that style. So I'm like, "Oh, that's So I was always like, "That's who's that again?" I know it's like then I'll like sing or like hum a few bars from another song. It's like, "Oh," and then someone's like, "Oh, that's." I was like, "Oh, thanks, that's what it is." But just I guess some of my favorites though would definitely be like Wooden Toaster or Glazed, depending on who you talk to. Alex S. Fuzogs, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was Rainbow Crash '88? Because
yeah, I was just about to say I forgot about him because he's doing like the music for Fighting Is Magic.
plus he's done those nice 8-bit remixes.
Yeah, exactly. Like before he started doing that, I think that was like some of the first things I favorited on YouTube, pony related. And actually, I think it was like the Winter Wrap Up rendition, but yeah, like his stuff's really good too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, there's some Gratina. Crap. And although this, Not a Clever Pony kind of fell out of the fandom for a while, but gotta give him props for the, being one of the first original songs. And then there's someone who he didn't really do much. But he did a couple really cool C minor mixes or versions of some songs. He's called Apocalypse Penguin.
Yeah.
Love those. Other than that, it's like, oh yeah, I like the song, but I don't remember who does it. So I'd actually open up iTunes and look like, who's this again?
Yeah, I bet you're not alone with that. Actually, I bet there's a lot of people who like know the songs, but doesn't necessarily know who sings it or does it. I think it's like that in real life too, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely have a couple favorites. One of the guys that really got me into the brony music to begin with, was Aviators. I found one of his orchestral tracks. I think it was I'll think of the name later. But it was a very, very cool, very, very moody, very, very interesting song, and that kind of got me hooked. And then I was introduced to the Discord song by Living Tombstone and Eurobeat like right after that, and it was like, oh, here we go, it begins. But Aviators is definitely kept as one of my favorites. That song Friendship, is I really enjoy it. Has a really nice melody, and I'm all about the nice melodies. And I think he's got a really nice little voice too. So another person I'm really into, Living Tombstone, of course.
I almost forgot about him.
Yeah, a lot of people did him, but like, for me, it's not so much his original stuff, but like some of the remixes he does.
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
he also has that very particular style you recognize immediately as that's Living
Oh,
Tombstone.
absolutely, yeah. And I'm always amazed at what Alex S can do with a lot of like samples and stuff, especially Party with Pinky. I mean, Party with Pinky is just hands down just amazing, I think. And then Wooden Toaster, Mike the Microphone. They both do some really good stuff. I group them together because I always think of Nightmare Night, but then beyond that, Manda Pony on the rock side he has a very good voice. I mean, very, very good voice. And I don't like everything he does, but I do like a lot of it. And then, of course, there's a Night Breeze. I think that's what he goes by. I don't know. I've seen like so many different names for this guy. This is the guy who did the Dawn in Equestria.
Oh yeah.
From a couple weeks ago that we featured on here.
Oh.
Listen to some of the other stuff on that channel, and wow, if you're into orchestral, I mean, this is like one of the pinnacles. Fantastic stuff. And then finally, we're gonna talk about him a little later, but Soldat Pony. Love a lot of that stuff. mainly because I'm a big folk indie nerd, and he does a lot of folk acoustic stuff. He's a very good guitar player and has a very interesting voice, which is why I'm always interested in, in real life. My favorite band is the Decemberists, and their lead singer just has a very strange tone to his voice. It's kind of like that. So for sure, a lot of my favorite stuff has come from him, as well as everybody else I just mentioned. I think but again, it's just a very wide range of stuff. I mean, even like, there's a friend of mine in the Ohio Bronies group who plays stuff on a harp, and I've listened to some of his stuff. I think it sounds really cool. It just there's so many things, and that's what I love about this music community. And I'm sure you guys could probably go off about other things like art and stuff, like how great the community is with this too. And I would agree. I just the music makes me really excited, and it's something that I still am trying to get caught up on, so that when I go to Candlelight Gardens, I don't like a song comes. Because that's what. Well, because that's what happened at TrotCon. We were driving back from TrotCon one night, and the guy I was riding back with had a couple Pony songs on his iPod. We were listening to some of them as we were driving back. And by driving back, I mean it took us an hour to get back because there was traffic, so we were just kind of sitting there most of the time. But Nightmare Night came on, and I was like, "This song's really cool. What is it?" He's like, "I forget." But I finally found it later, and I'm like, "Oh hey, this song has like 800,000 hits, and I didn't even know about it till now." Wow, I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And so I've been slowly learning, and this podcast has definitely helped that out.
Nightmare
I think,
Night, even the one Fusion and I were gushing about when it came out.
Apparently, yeah. I just didn't really get into the music at first. And I think it's because I had this weird, maybe this is snobbish, but I almost had this thing like, oh, it's not going to be good enough,
Hipster.
And
well, I never. Pony music.
And then I started hearing stuff like Discord and Party with Pinky and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. And I started listening to more. And like, I'm not saying I like everything. I'm still pretty critical a lot of times.
Yeah.
You'll just never hear it. I probably will never put something on this podcast I don't like. But, I'm still very critical of a lot of things. But there's a lot of good stuff out there. And I have to commend a lot of these people for even deciding to put themselves out there, because it can be quite terrifying sometimes to put out your own singing voice or whatever, Yeah. And I have to commend people for being able to do that at all. Because let's be real here. There's not a lot of people in this fandom who have very strong, commanding voices. A lot of it's, very, a lot of times thinner. A lot of times, maybe they might miss a note every once in a while live, but they still write good songs, and that's what I'm mainly interested in, I guess.
Exactly.
It's very cool. And so any final thoughts on Brony music before we move on?
It's very, very, very good music. I can't say I have any particular favorites because I don't get to listen to it that much outside of this podcast. But generally, I'm very pleased by what I do get to hear. It's very good. It keeps my interest for the most part, which is something that I don't usually expect. I'll be honest. I go into some of these songs not expecting them to be too stellar, and I get surprised a lot, and I like being surprised by music, so definitely a good thing.
We just mentioned two musicians, Mando Pony and Lace Soldat, and we'll talk about them a little later. Mando Pony a little later on. Before that, Lace Soldat, I sat down with him earlier this week to talk a little bit about his music, and you guys should check it out. Here it comes. Alright, I'm here with Lace Soldat Pony.
Hello.
Hi. And you're from, I believe, Nashville, is that correct?
Yeah, I actually live in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is about 40 minutes north of there. But yeah, I spend a lot of time down in Nashville.
Okay, cool. And so he will be our first ever interview on the Pony 411 podcast. So, jumping in here, I have a question for you mainly about, it's very broad here. People probably ask you, how did you get into ponies? And then the music thing, but I want to ask you, really, why ponies? Why create music for a show that's something like this? Where it's not going to be seen by a whole lot of people except the fans.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. Like when I first got into it, genuinely my thinking was like throughout high school and stuff, I had just made music in my basement because I enjoyed it. But I don't know. I just sort of on a whim because originally I did only instrumental stuff. So the first few, I will just outright admit, had nothing to do with ponies. I just changed the titles, just out of curiosity to see if anyone would pay attention. And then when it turned out a few people did, I actually kind of started more. I started moving more towards just completely creating things that were based on ponies, So it wasn't originally like that, but lately I have been just coming up with completely new ideas, kind of to continue.
Now, your music is interesting in that you do more acoustic folk-styled songs. Obviously, that's not everything that you do, but I think it's a general theme here, which is kind of the opposite of what much of this fandom's music generally is. A lot of it's a lot more electronic. Do you think that's caused your songs to receive a little less notoriety than they might have if you were doing something that was had a lot of wubs or something,
Oh, I mean, you can say that. I mean, if you ever look at the community voted top songs of every month or whatever, they're pretty heavily weighted towards the electronic dance music, But I mean, it's just the nature of the fandom, I don't really take that personally. I mean, is it valid to say that maybe not as many people have noticed just because my genre doesn't quite fit into that? I mean, yeah, but I wouldn't ask anyone to adjust their taste in music just for the sake of getting to know me, I think I've also heard plenty of people in the fandom say, hey, I wish there's more music kind of along these lines instead of only wubs, like you said. So, I mean, I'm sort of here for the people who enjoy folk or jazz, and for the people who don't, it doesn't really bother me. Different strokes,
So your music is definitely varied in terms of subject matter as well. You don't just write for one character. I'm curious, is there a character from the show that you find you write for with relative ease, and then conversely a character that you've kind of struggled pinning down so far?
It's kind of an interesting question because I don't know. I associate different characters in my mind with sort of different moods, and they're not necessarily what you would think from the show itself. I'm not sure what a good example would be. The Apple family, I find actually to be rather, if not outright sad, rather somber. I don't know quite why. Maybe it's just the fact that the parents don't seem to be anywhere in the equation or something, or for instance, I don't know. I'm kind of the camp that likes the whole Discord's childhood backstory with Celestia, just because I feel like it adds a lot of character depth. So that sort of facet of the character, I don't know. I don't want to say identify with, but it just kind of makes sense to me. Alternatively, I would say, I don't know, I have kind of trouble writing about very straightforward aspects of characters from the show. If I had to write music for the show or songs for the show, I think I would just fail horribly. That's not something that I think I could do very well at all.
So there's also a variety of sounds in your music, some sampled and some actually played. I'm curious to know what instruments you're actually playing when you do record.
I play guitar and piano generally, and I do have a bit of training in percussion, but I don't have as many of the instruments with me as I used to. But a lot of tracks, generally percussion or bass tracks, are sampled or just generated. Although I do have a couple of tracks that involve a flute that I am playing, actually a little tin whistle. So that's more or less the extent of what I've actually released at this point. Pretty much any guitar track is real, say. And I'll tell you that consistently anyway. That's about the only thing that rings true through my entire discography.
Is there a song out there in the fandom, the pony fandom, that you didn't create but you wish you did?
The short answer would be yes. But, off the top of my head, what would be a good example? I'm immediately drawing a blank right now, which I feel very silly about. I might have to come back to that one because, like I said, for some reason I cannot think of any songs at the moment when I'm actually asked the question.
I'm curious to know how, because again, this, as you know, this is a song that we featured on our show 2 weeks ago, Manhattan Mornings, that you did with a centrifuge. I'm curious to know how you and him got together to actually collaborate to do this song.
Well, we sort of just discovered each other just coincidentally, more or less, and we sort of started talking a bit, and we would like every once in a while show each other a track we were working on, and kind of like talk through it or ask for feedback. I remember like about I don't know, probably about 2 months ago, I actually showed him a Derpy Love song, which not much had changed between then and when I released it, but I remember I just couldn't work through it, and he was helping me try and figure out what was missing. But yeah, I heard the instrumental that he did, and I don't know, I couldn't quite let it go because he had said he had thought about doing vocals, and that's sort of how he intended it, but he couldn't think of any. So he went away on vacation, and I, behind his back, just decided that I was going to write lyrics in that a vocal track, and come hell or high water, I was going to get finished. And I actually almost didn't show it to him just because I really wasn't sure how he was going to take that. But in the end, it worked out that he wrote a really, really good just tune in of itself that lent itself to lyrics and vocals enough that I think it turned into a really solid tune all around.
So, do you have any aspirations outside of, pony music to do music on a much wider scale in the real world?
Well, actually, I'm a music major. I go to school, and I'm a student in classical composition, actually. So I've said to people before, the point of doing pony music or like folk music and jazz in general is to kind of stay sane outside of the classroom. So, I don't know exactly where that's going to go. I don't have any, I suppose, delusions of becoming a famous composer, but I really enjoy writing music in that capacity as well, and I really like to teach eventually. Outside of that, sort of the same thing. I mean, I really enjoy just kind of going around and playing music, solo acoustic music, But I don't know, I more just enjoy it. Would some recognition be nice? I mean, yeah, everyone feels that way, but at the same time, I enjoy music to the point that I really don't feel that any sort of fame would be really necessary for me to keep enjoying it. I just like what I'm doing already enough that I'm perfectly fine where I am.
So what's coming in the future for you in terms of, music, possibly convention appearances, anything else like that?
I have no idea as far as convention appearances. I will say I'm planning on going to Sweet Apple Acres Con next summer because that's in Nashville. I mean, like 40 minutes away from my apartment, so it would be kind of silly not to go. I haven't really thought anywhere farther than that. I don't know if I would be able to go to a bigger, like a Brony Con or Everfree Northwest next year, what have you. As far as music coming out, I will say I'm working on 2 separate albums, which I could be releasing more music at the moment than I am, but if I were to release everything on an album before it came out, there wouldn't be much point in releasing an album. So I am currently just working through writing and recording stuff and compiling them into 2 separate, very different stylistically. They're 2 completely separate albums, and I'll pick one up and then just completely forget about it and pick the other one up, so I'm sort of crawling forward on both of those.
Can you talk about the stylistic differences between those 2 albums?
Yeah. One of them is, I guess what you might call a trip-hop record. It's sort of in the vein of like old Gorillaz, like say Demon Days or even their first album style. And I've released a couple tracks sort of in that vein. There's one called Luna Stories that originally was like that, and then one called Moon Cannon, which actually the feedback on that, where so many people were saying that it sounds like it should be on Demon Days, that it sort of gave me the idea that I should put together a bigger album like that. The other one, it's closer to my folk roots, I would say, I would say it's some sort of a fusion of, say, yeah, my folk roots, and then a lot of sort of post-rock stuff like Sigur Rós or Yonzi that has sort of been creeping in there lately, whether I want it to or not.
Any idea on a release date for either of those?
If I hadn't started school yet, I may have a date, but at the moment I'm just sort of seeing what I can do along with the rest of my responsibilities and work and what have you. I would say at least one of them should be ready around November, December. I should also throw out there that the Be Seeds of Kindness charity albums already, all my downloads go straight to them, but it's just sort of a bigger scale. These unfortunately won't be available to download for free, but I'm planning on having roughly 45 minutes of music in each for about $4 or $5, so not a bad deal.
Are you able to go back to the question about the pony song?
Oh, yeah. I will say that if not a particular song, if I have to give you a particular song, I'll probably say Sony Wonder's Jack-O-Lat track, which, I just have a whole lot of respect for him, honestly. And if I have to pick one track, I'm going to go with that one. I could go on, I could expound more and more on, I suppose, musicians and music in general, but that's a much longer conversation than we're looking at here.
Of course. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
I'm sure I will think of something to add in about 5 minutes, and I'll be up a creek at that point, but, I think we pretty much covered all the bases here.
Well, Mr. Soldat, I thank you very, very much for talking to us here at Pony 411, and hope you continue to make some really great music.
Well, hope you continue to podcast.
Oh, we will. We will indeed.
Yes.
And for more information about Les Soldat Pony and some of the music he does, definitely be sure to check out his YouTube page, youtube.com/Soldat, SOLDAT, Pony. Alright, and so at this point of the show, I guess we're going to move into our fan content of the week. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is something we do every week where we talk about different content that we either enjoyed or just want to talk about, sometimes both too. And I guess we'll start as we usually do with the fan artist of the week, and Funky's got that coming up right now.
Why, yes I do. One thing I always try to do with the fan artist of the week is I always try to pick someone who's a little bit more unique, not on quality, but on what they do. And so far we featured a lot of digital people, but none of them have really touched one of my personal soft spots when it comes to digital art, and that's pixel art. And there's someone who fits that bill perfectly, and his name is Pixum, but it's PIX3M, so if you want to get technical, it's PIX3M, but whatever, I'm pretty sure that's the lead speak, whatever, but as I lead it in, he specializes in pixel art, and I know the pony community is not completely in the dark about pixel art because we have the desktop ponies, and that's sprite based, and that is like a form of very basic, pixel art that matches the show, so that's what's, it matches it suits it well, but Pixum, his coloring style is just more unique, and it is just like, it's gorgeous, it is really, I think what I really like about it is like it's really reminiscent of, I know like my inner geek nerd is coming out this podcast episode, because one thing I really do like about him is like his stuff is really reminiscent of classic 2D games, with similar styles, and some things you would see expect to see like in an SNK game, like in arcades, like in the 90s, or like even up to handheld games of today. As an example, he has a couple of portraits done in the style, and it really reminds me of one of my personal favorite of King of Fighters games, like 2001, where it has this really nice, smooth, lineless style in which it doesn't have like an outer line where, I know it's hard to explain, but once you see it, you know what I'm talking about. And the shading is so stylistic. It's not just a simple, darker, darker, darker. He uses a variety of colors to create this really pleasing effect. And as I mentioned, the game sprites look like they came out something from a game, but that's because he is working, we're helping out with some projects. He is working on helping out with two projects, to be exact, MOP Online and Equestrian Chronicles. The MOP Online has been around for a little while, and I think from what I read from one of his journals and the website, they released a demo at BronyCon, and I didn't get to look into that, and also I didn't want to focus on it too much because I wanted to focus more on him. But yeah, maybe that's for another, section where we can talk about that. But Equestrian Chronicles is something that just barely popped up, and there's not much information on that, but it looks like it's going to be something a little bit more RPG-based or adventure-based. Or there's not a lot of information out, but judging from some of the stuff that he's done, it looks like might be adventure-based, and they're also looking for people to help out with stuff like that. But and again, whenever I try to pick an artist, I always try to pick someone who's kind of inspiring, and Pixum is no exception. When it comes to his coloring, I am just dumbfounded by some of the stuff he does. I have seen some of the friendly critiques and advice he's given on DeviantArt, and I'm reading it, and I'm just I don't even know what to say, because I don't he's going into color theory and things like that I didn't even realize, because I'm still new to coloring. So it's it's one of those things where you think yeah, I can probably do that. I can probably color a picture or something, and then you see what he's talking about and the critiques and the advice and the examples he gives, and then you realize how little you know. And he's at the age of 20, he knows most of this stuff, and it really shows in his artwork, and it just kind of just inspires to help me to get better with that. But yeah, and especially he has a couple of videos up on his YouTube account where he's showing the process of coloring or drawing some of this pixel art. And again, you're just looking at this and you're just wow, I don't know nothing about what I'm doing. This is fantastic. And at the same time, it also helps you out with techniques and things like that. So yeah, I really had a lot to say about it because I really like the pixel art genre, and it's something I've been a fan of ever since I could appreciate games like that. So he is definitely worth checking out if you're that kind of person, or if you're just looking at really, really well colored things. Again, his name is Pixum, Pix3M, and as always, the link will be in the description. And definitely give a look out through for his stuff, because if you're following MOP Online or if you've heard about Equestrian Chronicles, he is working on those. And be sure to give a look through his gallery and the YouTube videos that he's done, because they are pretty fun to see, even if you aren't artistically endeavored or are into that kind of things.
Yeah, I definitely dig it. It's really cool. I'm obviously not as well versed in pixel art as you are, judging by how much you. Yeah, I was just sitting here, just whoa, it's a whole other world. But I really dig a lot of it. Especially, I'm looking at the page right now, and this vinyl scratch, especially.
Yeah.
Really cool.
That was the video I saw him color, because I saw that and I was wow, this looks great. And then I saw him coloring it. I was okay, I gotta see this. I gotta see how he did this. And I was oh, okay, yeah, that was pretty badass.
Right?
Epicness, pure epicness.
So speaking of epicness,
Uh-oh.
Art, are you ready to talk about your fanfic you picked for the week?
Yes, I am, Four-String. So this week's fanfic is called The Fluttershy Effect, and it is by a guy named
Mason.
Yes, it's by Mason. Thank you.
Oh, I said Bison.
You could find it, as always, through Equestria Daily. And it's hosted on FimFiction. This story basically is about Fluttershy inadvertently causing all kinds of havoc through her fears. Basically, what happens is a spell is cast on Fluttershy. By who, you'll have to read to find out. And basically, what happens is anything Fluttershy doesn't like disappears. And it kind of messes up the entire world for her and her friends, and they have to try to figure out A, who cast the spell, exactly how powerful the spell is, and what they can do to fix it. So they set off on a trek to Canterlot to meet with Princess Celestia to try and solve the problem, and hilarity ensues. Now, did any of you guys get a chance to check this one out?
Readings for yellow bellies.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so Nemesis did. Kevin and Funky, you guys didn't?
I'm sad to
I'm
say
currently
no.
reading it as we speak.
Give me about 20 minutes.
Ultra prepared.
Very nice. Where are you up to at the moment?
I'm up to that first sentence of the
Well.
story.
So you're pretty far in.
Yeah,
Yes.
I already know what's happened.
Very nice. Well then, okay. Well, while you do that, I'll go to
Wait, what's that? What's that? Tori spelling cast a spell.
Oh no.
That's just stupid. Why would they have another human in Equestria?
Especially
Wait,
that
there's been humans in Equestria before.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
my gosh! Yes,
You have
there's
so much. You have so much to learn.
You have
literally.
much to learn.
I'm not kidding. When you go, if you go to FM fiction and then just browse, it's like at least half of them have a human tag on them.
Yeah,
Easily.
just find one of those sometime and just.
I was
let
gonna
your
say you
brain
might have just given me the ideas for the next like month's worth of podcast.
Oh no,
Oh no.
no!
Wait,
don't
guys,
do it.
guys, I got it. I got it.
It's Pony 401 Human in Equestria month.
Oh no!
No. I got one better. What if the humans were the characters from Homestuck? Crossover.
It's been done.
I don't care. I can
What
do
if-
it better. I've made some.
I
What
awesome
if they were
crossovers.
like? What if it was like set in a swamp, and it
I'm
was
gonna punch you.
actually Shrek, and he was like,
What if they needed to get Michael Jordan to help them win a basketball game?
yeah,
Oh God.
Wow, we completely just
And what if-
derailed this one.
and what if Kim Possible could do anything?
What if Nightmare Moon turned Fluttershy's heart into a weapon?
And what if Metallica was there? Just saying.
And now we've just
It's not as though
We gotta cut this whole thing out.
No, we keep
no,
it
we
in.
don't. No, we don't. We keep it in.
We'll do it live.
Okay, go back.
So where were we?
About to ask me.
We were talking about Fluttershy, the Fluttershy effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And you're about
Nemesis,
to ask
you,
me,
you,
I think, about it.
you read it. What did you think of this one?
I enjoyed it. I honestly say it's probably not the best I've read, but I did like it. It was solid. The characters felt pretty much in character. They all seemed to react like they normally would in the show, and it actually came to a nice conclusion and didn't get too out there, I guess I should say. And when I say that, I just mean just feeling like it kind of almost felt like almost could be an episode of the show. Not quite, but it was close. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say it would fit very well in being an episode, based on what I've seen. It definitely flowed very well. I thought I gotta say, I didn't really care much for the use of the villain. I thought it was just kind of, I can't think of anybody else, so I'll use this. But other than that, because I really did think it was going to go a different direction with how the spell was cast and all that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I feel it was, out of the ones we have done on this podcast thus far, this one was probably the strongest.
In all our weeks
Yeah,
of
of all
fan
three.
fiction.
Woo!
Yeah, we have a deep pool to choose from.
So now we have a new bar.
Bar
Yes.
has been set. It's called
Yes,
the
it has.
Fluttershy effect.
It may be surpassed next week. Who knows?
Wait,
You should tune in to find out.
Wait,
And,
I thought the bar was set to Spider Seas. I'm sorry.
Oh God.
actually, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That's
Almost
very
forgot
true.
about that one.
Is it better than Spider
How
Seas?
could we forget?
No, okay.
No, it's not better than Spider Seas.
And then a Spider Jack fanfic pops up.
No, God, I hope so.
Oh, I bet that's already been done somehow.
Spider Jack
Spider
X
Pony?
Tori spelling OTP.
Let's move on.
All right,
Can we have derailed this enough?
Yeah.
off the rails. So yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of our show for the week.
Oh no.
So, yes, it's the end. All good things must come to an end. But we'll be back next week with an entirely new episode about things we don't know about yet. But something will happen.
In the future.
We can be sure of it. Something will happen in the future.
When we figure it out, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, basically. But thank you for listening as always, and if you would be so kind to check us out on a couple different mediums, that'd be awesome. Depending on where you're listening from. If you're listening from YouTube or you're listening from iTunes or whatever, disregard when I mention that. But you can find us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/pony411. Every episode goes up there. You can also find us on iTunes by searching Pony411, not Porny411. I don't know why I was saying that.
That will go.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know without. Don't even try that. Just don't. You can also find us directly on Libsyn, Libsyn. That's pony411.libsyn.com. You can download directly from there. Also, we're on Twitter, twitter.com/pony411. All of us are also on Twitter as well.
The Twitters.
And if you follow the Pony411 Twitter, we'll probably do a Follow Friday on Friday that has all of our Twitter accounts if you haven't been able to find it before, if it's not, you don't see it in the video description or anything. And yeah, as always, also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to tell us what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, we'd love to hear any of that. You can either find us on at pony411podcast@gmail.com, or you can comment on the YouTube page, or you can leave us a comment on Twitter, and we'll be sure to respond if you want to be responded to. If you don't want to be responded to, then we might respond anyway. I don't know.
You can also leave a
Maybe,
rating
quite
on
possibly.
iTunes.
What about iTunes?
Give us a rating on iTunes.
Oh,
5
yes!
stars or 4
That's
stars
right.
if you like,
Yes,
but
5
5 stars better.
Give us some stars.
We
And
like
I mean
stars.
stars, as in don't just give us 1 star. Don't be that guy.
Don't be
Don't
that
be
guy.
that
Don't give
guy.
us 1 star just because.
Unless you give us one
because
4-star
Tony's-
rating and then 2 1-star ratings. 4, 1, 1.
And then we're at 6 stars. I don't. What? How? What's? We just broke it. What has
I
happened?
don't know.
Oh God.
Forget I said
So-
anything.
So yeah, do you guys have anything else to add this week?
Not that I know of at the moment.
All right. Well, your moment's about to be up.
Alright. I'll have to live with this for the rest of
Okay.
my life. Oh, woe is me.
I hope you'll be okay with this. So, this is Pony411 signing off.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, and have a pleasant tomorrow. I didn't just lift that from something.
And remember, please, pony responsibly.